Hey, good evening, folks. Chillie with Chillie's Cruises here with the Chillie Chats. Tonight's guest will be Kyle Falwell, the owner, operator, and pilot of Bonaire. Goodness gracious, I forget the name of his company. That sure isn't very professional. But anyway, he'll tell you. But anyway, with no further ado, let me introduce my friend and the pilot that's flown a bunch of supplies to the Bahamas, and we're going to chat about that this evening. Here's Kyle Falwell. Hey, Kyle, how you doing?
I'm great. How about yourself, Chillie?
Good. We're hanging in there. We've tried so many times to get this together, so I'm glad we're finally getting a chance to chat a little bit about the Bahamas and what's been going on.
Same here, and I appreciate you being patient with me as we get here.
Okay. Let's go back to the beginning. Dorian just wiped out that whole section of the Bahamas, Abaco, and across to Freeport. And you almost immediately started collecting and flying supplies down there. Tell us how that got going and what got you started.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had a customer who bought an aircraft from me years ago that had a house down in Treasure Key. And then, lo and behold, when I got there, I realized my father and I used to travel there with my sister when we were young age, back when I was probably in fourth or fifth grade. And so anyways, by going down there for years, I met a ton of people, met a ton of friends. And then it was a Sunday, and we were sitting there watching. I was here having a birthday party for a friend of mine's daughter. And I was watching Dorian hit the islands that I love and where their home was. And I couldn't focus on the party. I could only focus on what was happening there. And after Irma and Maria, and what I did down in St. Croix and St. Lucia and St. Thomas and those areas, those were 180 mile an hour sustained winds for 8 hours. And then we had a storm that was much smaller in diameter, but so much stronger in strength, that sat there and stalled with 220 mile an hour sustained winds and just sat on top of this island for almost a day and a half. Yep. And, and I was talking to my friend Mickey, and I said, Mickey, we got to do something. And so, that next day, I called Gleaning of the World and Thomas Road Baptist Church, and they both sprang into action, got us the supplies, got us some monetary, funds to get us, get the mission started. And I flew down to Fort Pierce and waited for the storm to move to the northeast, or northwest, I should say, so that I could be one of the first airplanes in there. And that first day we flew in and dropped off about 5,000 pounds of water and food, the necessities that we knew they needed. And then from there, we just kept going.
And how many missions, if you want to call them missions, I don't know what else to call them, have you flown since Dorian to the Bahamas?
I'm still going. I can't count. I do it by pounds. I think we're close to 500,000 pounds at this time. We did so many jump off missions. Like when I first got there, I thought that I was just going straight, dropping off supplies and then coming right back to West Palm to pick up another load of supplies. And when I got there, an incredible group called the Cleveland Clinic was there, and they had brought their jet in to offer medical assistance to those in need. And unfortunately, with their program, their crews and doctors and nurses have to stay together. So when I came in, dropped off my supplies, I had a nurse come up to me and said, listen, we need to get some of these people out of here immediately. We have pregnant women. We've got small children. Some of them are not even respondent. And we have to get them to the triage in Nassau. And if we don't get them out now by your airplane, then we all have to leave with them. And the people here that need medical attention can't stay. So when that happened, I said, bring them to me. And so we started loading, the most that were in need the most, the women and children and everybody that was in the most need. And I started taking those people to Nassau. And then from Nassau, then I'd hop back, pick up another load of supplies, and then head back over to Treasure Key. So, and then there was a lot of times where I was taking people back and forth to Grand Bahama and Freeport and stuff like that. And to be honest, when you're doing that kind of work, it all kind of blurs together. You start to lose track of time a little bit. It's so chaotic. There's no air traffic control. There's not a lot of, rules or regulations. You're just trying to kind of save lives at that point and get the people that need the most out of there. And so I'm guessing, Chillie, to answer your question in a long way, I'm guessing probably 75 to 100, somewhere in between there is what I did.
Wow. And you're still, you still need supplies. You still need money to continue with what they need.
Treasure Key and Marsh Harbor, which are the main towns that, are on Abaco, they still don't have power. They still don't have water. And here we are, 7 months, and it might be another 7 months before they have that. Right. And unfortunately, the news, media, and everything else, the focus is gone everywhere else. But those people are still in need, and the biggest thing is getting commerce back there, getting things built back so people get to get back there and enjoy the beauty of what this magical place has always had. And to me, it's been one of the best, getaways that you could ever be part of. Unfortunately, there's over 700 islands to make it the Bahamas. And everybody thinks of Nassau and places like that, Exuma, and Abaco's was one of them. Abaco was one of them, I should say. Well, now it's easy for everybody to say, oh, we're going to the Bahamas, but Abaco's never going to be Abaco again unless we get commerce, we get money, we get everything coming back in there that needs to be. But we have to get it cleaned up first. And so we're still, we had, by the gracious donations of a lot of wonderful organizations, Thomas Road Baptist Church, Waiting for the World, and Sonny Merriman, who's a local guy. The money, the support that we got from here in Lynchburg is amazing. We have a dump truck, a van body, a backhoe, 2 school buses loaded with supplies, and we still have not been able to get those over to where they're needed on a shipping container, even though they've been donated here by months because of the limitations on getting things over there by the Bahamian government, by the weather. At this time of year, getting shipping containers over there is not easy, and stuff like that has just been, the logistical side of it's been incredibly hard. And this Friday, I'm happy to say that we finally have all of our equipment going over there, and with the support of some of the great NGOs, which are non-government organizations that are still there working, and there's not a lot left. We're going to be there to collect it, get it, and put it into work, and that's what we're still working to do.
Is things further along in the main areas, like let's say Freeport on Grand Bahama Island?
Yeah, Freeport. Well, Freeport didn't have the sustained winds that
Abaco had.
Abaco had. Abaco sits, 40 miles, I guess, east of that. And it hit the island, sat there, and that tears up a storm like that greatly. And and a decrease in winds from 220 to sustained to 180 sustained. Buildings are made to withstand 180. Never as a storm hit a town, a city, or a community with 220 mile an hour sustained winds with tornadoes embedded on it and sat with it. And I talk to people that we do that's all they do is disaster relief, and we all agree that the two most catastrophic natural disasters that have happened were the tsunami and Dorian. Yeah. And besides that, it makes everything else kind of pale in comparison.
Well, so many of us, at least that follow me and are on this channel, are cruisers. So we know Nassau, we know Freeport. We don't know necessarily places like Treasure Key and Abaco, because unless we've taken an unusual excursion while we were in one of the main ports, we haven't, been, we've not seen it. We've not lived it like you have.
Well, and that's the thing is those islands, and they're all supported. They're all one country. They're all part of one. And Nassau, I mean, last time I was in Nassau, I went there for the Baja Mar, which just opened, and there's a lot of great things happening there. I'll say this: unfortunately, the majority of the votes that take for politicians to get reelected come out of Nassau. And so Nassau's focus, or the politicians have focused their time and efforts to Nassau. And I'll say this: Nassau's been incredible in taking in the shelters and everything they've provided for a lot of the evacuees from Dorian. However, that island can't sustain that kind of influx, and we've got to get these people back to their homes and back to their home islands. And that's what's important, is we've got to build this place back and build it back the right way and do the schools the right way. And I mean, Sandy Sin, who's a senator from South Carolina, she got multiple, hundreds of computers donated to the schools in Abaco to build these things back the right way. But the one thing we've got is we got to have everybody come back and put the money back in and enjoy the place the way it used to be.
Yeah, and I can see that. People got to be able to live. They got to be able to work. They got to be able to earn a living so they can buy their own food and so forth, so they can support we tourists and our tourist dollars that are coming over there.
Chillie's, like y'all got Nassau, the reason it got to where it is tourism. The Abacos, they depend on tourism. It's a different type of tourism because they don't have the ports that can support the cruise ships. But it's the guys that jump over on their individual boats, individual airplanes, that like a little bit of the getaway feel of it. And that's what Abaco's always offered, is that, little slice of paradise is a little farther away, it's a little less commercial, and kind of off the beaten path kind of thing.
Right. All right, let's see if we got any questions so far. Jason from Pittsburgh says hi. She says, suggests that Carnival should help. Carnival Cruise Line, of course. Tom Henry said from over in Richmond. It's one of our big cruisers, says hi. Mary Nelson is down near in Roanoke, says good evening. So no straight questions for you. I saw, I believe today was the first day that American Airlines has resumed flights to Freeport. So I would think that's a step, even though that's not, again, not directly to Abaco, but that's got to.
No, actually, it's a huge step. And word on the street is they're going right back into Marsh Harbor soon. Bahamas Air's been going back into Marsh. So the main terminal at Marsh Harbor is back up and operational, and flights going in and out. And those are all big steps. Abaco in. A lot of the outer islands, which are the outer islands, for those that don't know, are green turtle, great guana, those type of places that surround Abaco. Abaco has always been the feeder to those outer islands for supplies and people. Everybody lands on Abaco and then goes to the outer islands to get, by boat and smaller airplanes to those outer islands. And they're doing better than Abaco has, because they didn't, they had, number one, a little bit better support system. Their sister keys, like Key West is a sister key to Green Turtle. And so they've been just feeding them with supplies and feeding them with stuff that they need to get back up, and that helps come back, much faster there. So those islands are doing great. And that's, I've been feeding people to those islands for their spring breaks and stuff like that. It's coming back up. They're going to be fine. And Marsh Harbor and Treasure Key is going to be fine. I think it's going to be a little bit of a slower process, a little bit more government, a little bit higher population. So it takes a little bit longer to sort through it.
All right. You still need everything, I assume.
Well, the biggest thing now, Chillie, is money supporting the right organizations that are going to get what they need. It's I'll tell you, without the American population, and anybody in the Bahamas will tell you this, they wouldn't have been the survivors they had if it hadn't been for the giving that we got from places like here in Lynchburg and places in you want to talk about love and heart. The American spirit lives strong on what they did for Bahamas and what they're continuing to do for the Bahamas. The biggest thing that's needed now is for people to want to get back there, want to be part of it, and the money coming back in. Commerce is everything. In the Bahamas, tourism is the main industry. They don't have other options of income like we do here in a lot of places. Tourism's everything, for good reason. It's the most beautiful place in the world, in my opinion. And so we need to get people back there. So right now, if you can't go to Treasure Key, you can't go to Marsh Harbor, go to Exuma, go to Nassau, take the cruises down there. And explore the beautiful people. The beautiful people is what's number one. I mean, the people in the hearts and the soul of that nation are unbelievable, and that's what I'd love everybody to go experience.
Right. I just came back from a couple cruises and was in Nassau again. I've been in Nassau twice this year, and I was on. I've been to several of the islands. Just recently, I just got back last week, as a matter of fact. I'm looking forward to some of the improvements that are planned in Nassau, which is going to make Nassau 100 times better than it's always been.
Well, yeah, I hear Biomar's making a new marina down there, and I mean, and that place is incredible. I was one of the first people and we stumbled upon that place because one of my airplanes broke down there, and they had just opened, and so I was coming into land with a customer that had a home in Treasure Key, and we're dropping some people off in Nassau, and coming in, came through this incredible rainstorm, and I ended up getting water in the avionics compartment, and so I started losing some instruments coming in. We landed. I sent the customers to lunch, and I said, guys, I want to have this looked at. I went to the ladies at the front desk who were wonderful there in Nassau, and I said, listen, girls, can y'all put us up in a nice place tonight? My customers have a house in Treasure Key. They weren't expecting to be here, so I'd like to have them in a nice place. And anyways, Mickey, who's a good friend of mine and customer, he goes, Kyle, where are we staying? I said, well, I think it's a Hyatt or something like that. And as we pointed, he goes, are you kidding me? He goes, this is the Bahamas. He goes, I've been following this place for years. I mean, this is a $5 billion resort. I can't remember the number. I was like, well, great. I'm glad you're happy. And they hadn't even opened the west wing of the hotel at that point. And we were one of the first people there. And I mean, it was magnificent. And they've done such a wonderful job with that. And now Mickey and Sarah, he and his wife, they go back there every year because we had such an incredible time. And they've got a house in Treasure Key, or had a house. And they, still choose to go there for vacation. Nice. So I mean, it's a cool spot, and I mean, the Bahamas to me are just one of the most beautiful. The blue water, the white sand. I mean, you look on it, from a global view, and it stands out like a fluorescent beacon that says, "Come see here."
Yeah. Well, I agree. I love the Bahamas too. So, well, Kyle, I certainly do appreciate it. All right, one question further about if anybody that's watching this and wants to write a check, who do we send it to? Do we still go through Thomas Road or
trbc.org/Dorian? Okay. They've been wonderful, and they've been providing that money to assist in the aerial support and everything we've done to get supplies in and out. Also, Gleaning for the World, they loaded us with supplies, and they continue to help every disaster area in the world at all times. And they're both top-notch organizations that I can't speak highly enough about.
Okay. All right. Well, Kyle, thank you very much. And hopefully maybe we'll get some information out to people and
absolutely
get you some more support.
Yep, and y'all get back on the cruise ship, man. Better place to be.
Okay, Kyle, thank you so much. We'll talk again soon.
Sounds good, Chillie. Thanks, buddy.
Okay. All right, folks, that wraps up Chillie Chats for tonight with Kyle Falwell, the owner, operator, pilot of Bonaire Brokerage. I remember the name this time, Bonaire Brokerage. Great guy. He's a friend of mine, and I was tickled pink that Kyle could be with us tonight. So anyway, that's going to wrap us up for the evening. I will be back with you guys 6 a.m. tomorrow morning for our travel and cruise industry news show. So won't be getting a whole lot of sleep tonight, but that's okay. Anyway, so I'll see you bright and early in the morning. And if you're new to this channel, folks, and just are catching the video when this is up on replay, we regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. We do Chillie Chats, which are my interviews like this show was. And we do travel and cruise industry news on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 6 a.m. So that's it for now. This is Chillie with Chillie's Cruises. Later, y'all. I hope you've enjoyed Chillie Chats and will join us next time as we discuss various facets of the travel and cruise industry. This broadcast was produced by Chillie's Cruises and hosted by me, Chillie Falls.